colleagues in the minority churn out on almost daily basis. I think that this incident today is most outrageous, and we believe we must respond to it. The Speaker had spoken, and I think the gravamen of the Speaker's statement was that we're not in normal times, and that suspending the House, in fact, adjourning the House sine die, which just means adjourning indefinitely, requires, if you want a resumption, technically about 14 days to summon Parliament back. So the Speaker said, given the circumstances of our times, let us not adjourn, because you never even know what may arise tomorrow. So that if the nation enters a period of greater turmoil, Parliament then could record. So he says, let us suspend sine die, instead of adjourning sine die. Let us suspend sine die, let us suspend indefinitely. And as I said, we all recognize that we are not in normal times. Indeed, what the Speaker said is not written in black and white in the standing orders. And given the fact that we are not in normal times, he applied himself to Order 5, Order 6, which provides, as I quoted, in all cases not provided for in these orders, Mr. Speaker shall make provisions as he deems fit, which is the suspension of the House indefinitely. Now, if the Speaker has to suspend the House, ordinarily he would consult with the leaders. But over the past 2 weeks, my colleague, rather unfortunately, has determined not to see the Speaker. So the Speaker calls pre-sitting meetings, and he and his leadership don't attend those meetings. In that regard, how was he to consult him? In that regard, how was the Speaker to consult the minority leader who has decided not to avail himself to the Speaker? The day we discussed this, and indeed it was just yesterday, it was the Honorable Comfort Doyo, who's a deputy whip, who was with us, the Speaker, myself, and Comfort, when the Speaker mentioned this. So when we finished, I called my colleague, the minority leader, because notwithstanding, we still relate very well to each other. So I called him to discuss the matter with him. His intuitive response was that no, we will not agree. We will not agree to indefinite suspension. I would suggest to you that on 2 occasions when I called him and he was resistant, I called some of the people in their leadership, the expanded leadership, and wanted to rationalize the situation with them. The 2 of them that I spoke to all agree with me that we are not in normal times. So why this? I wouldn't want to, give away their names because we discussed this confidentially. So they realized that what he was doing was not right. So I asked them to go and speak with the minority leader. But as it turned out, he was not in a mood to agree to any indefinite suspension, which then would mean that rising today, if next week we have to meet, there will not have to be any resort to any mechanical arrangements. So that's the import of it. And he said to us, when he got up, to say that the Speaker had prorogued Parliament. That's why I brought it back to him. What's his own understanding of proroguing Parliament? Proroguing Parliament means terminating Parliament in any session. The session lasts 1 year. This is just the first meeting. If the Speaker said that we're not going to have a second meeting, we're not going to have a third meeting in the year, that is proroguing of the House. But what the Speaker did had nothing to do with that. Unless maybe he does not understand the word proroguing in parliamentary parlance. Because you're totally wrong in his own appreciation of the terminology, proroguing Parliament. You can prorogue Parliament, and that will lead to the swearing in of a new Parliament. That's how it is. Or you prorogue Parliament for the rest of the session. Now, the rest of this session will take us to 2021. And 2021 will be for a new Parliament. So the Speaker has not, and indeed did not prorogue Parliament. That's the first. And the third thing is, even though he did not avail himself of the opportunity to dialogue with the Speaker on this, even if he disagreed, it was not for him to fly into tantrums as he did. Because as I said, our orders are very clear on this, that if you disagree with the Speaker on any matter, you must come with a motion expressing your disagreement. And the Speaker cannot say that you not accept it, because as a matter of morality, you would not have to appeal to the Right Honourable Speaker. The Speaker then would ask one of the Deputy Speakers to preside. That's how it is done everywhere in the world. But taking the law into your own hands and flying into tantrums and so on, to me, was most unnecessary and most unfortunate. And the leader related to a letter that he had written. Some of you were with us in the Speaker's conference room. Am I lying? And the Speaker related to a letter that he had leaked to you, and some of you on your own media had done the broadcast of the letter. So if you are courteous to the Speaker, you write to the Speaker has not received the letter, you leak to the press, and it's in public domain. You expect the Speaker to be courteous to you. So the Speaker said, and I think it was you guys who asked, one of you asked him. You did. At the time you had the letter. Is that the case? So if you write the Speaker has not received it, and he leaks it to you, you are not courteous to the Speaker. You want the Speaker to be courteous to you. So he said to the Director of Public Affairs, please respond to him. Which is what he did. But you realize that even the response did not address the matters. Indeed, the Speaker referred the letter to me just day before yesterday, that I should study it and on his behalf respond to my colleague, the Minority Leader. I have not done so yet, because I wanted us to have some time to think through. So I have not done so yet. But I think certainly this kind of behavior is untenable. You all have been in this house. You have seen the conduct of a certain speaker in this house, who will swivel his chair and not look in the direction of the minority. You are all witnesses, Jehovah's Witnesses of this. You saw this live. A speaker who, without even listening to the minority, because you remember we even summoned Parliament to meet, and when Parliament was summoned to meet, he would not even listen to us. The motion that we moved, he pulled something from his pocket and said, this is my ruling. Ruling on what? On the 4th. Something that is not before Parliament. You go out there to make a ruling on that. We tolerated him. Because you see, apart from everything, if you bastardize the Speaker, you are really bringing down the image of Parliament. And let nobody kid himself. The MPP is not going to be there forever. Certainly a time may come, the NDC will take over, or any other political party will take over, and we expect the House to accord some dignity to the Speaker who will be in the chair. I was most appalled today when the second Deputy Speaker would not even rise to the Speaker. You belong to the Speakership. To be fair, he rose up, and the Deputy Minority Leader commanded him to sit down, and he did. And I was indeed tantalized by that behavior. Doesn't mean whenever he comes to sit in the chair, the majority should not rise for him. What signal are you giving to Ghanaians? I was appalled. But good that we're taking a suspension. I believe between now and perhaps next week, some water would pass under the bridge, people will reflect, and sobriety will take its proper place. I thank you very much.
There's the issue about the maize. Yes. And how the speaker hesitated. You talk about the fact that the minority did not rise. When suspensions are taken,
Yes.
do you rise?
If you suspend indefinitely, let's assume that you are suspending for 3 days. The maize will have to be there. Is that your understanding? Is that your understanding?
No, that's the contention of the minority.
So, and I'm telling you that if, as the speaker said, what is indefinite suspension? Indefinite suspension means suspending sine die, right? Without determining when Parliament is going to come back to sit, right? So let's assume it's going to be 2 days. Let's assume it's going to be, certainly Sundays we don't sit, even though on one Sunday we have sat, right? So let's assume we are even coming back Monday. You expect the maize to be here. The maize is gold plated, and you know.
Usually when suspensions are taken, here's the same thing.
But you are repeating the same thing. You are repeating
Which order suggests to you that there's a defined route for the speaker to exit? Which order?
Because the minority argues that that's why they didn't.
I'm asking you, did they tell you any order which should suggest that the speaker should turn left or right if the speaker suspends sitting? Thank you.
Dismissed from the Speaker's office. Are you aware of that?
I'm not aware.
But would you engage your colleague?
I think that's the import of what I said, that some water will pass under the bridge between now and then. And I believe sobriety would afflict recalcitrant souls.